The University of Michigan football program is one of the nation's best and most recognizable, and it's getting even bigger. Through individuals and department marketing strategies, Wolverine football is being showcased on videotape and in books. Already there are 2 home videos available. The 10-Year War, a look back at the Michigan-Ohio State rivalry during the time when Woody Hayes and Bo coached against each other. And there's also the Best of Michigan Replay, the 1988 season, a dramatic look back at last year's Big Ten Championship and Rose Bowl season. The latest addition to this marketing effort is the book Bo, written by Coach Schembechler and Detroit Free Press columnist Mitch Albom. It is a very lively and entertaining look back at the career of one of the most successful coaches in the history of the collegiate game. For Albom, it was a chance to work with a man who doesn't get too close to the media and a coach who surprised him with his candor and insight.
I admired the way that Bo has always been ethical in his career, hasn't been caught on cheating, has stuck by the rules even when that's cost him in terms of national championships and recruiting and things like that. And as it turned out, I think that was the most valuable part of the book. The last 5 chapters are specifically on that. It's called Straight Talk, that section, and he deals with recruiting, he deals with agents, he deals with steroids. I don't think a coach, in fact, I know no coach has ever dealt with these subjects in a book, certainly no active coach, and very few coaches are willing to come out and say what Bo has said in this book. Then I was also surprised to find out that he admits that a lot of what he does is an act. You know, people who do things for an act usually don't admit that it's for an act, but he was very candid in this book. He says, my temper, the way I scream at players, the way I bark at the media, a lot of that is just part of an act. All of it really is part of an act to get what I want, motivation-wise. And, you know, he says even when he sees a player walking across campus, he might yell out, you know, hey, are you on your way to math class or something like that? He knows in the back of his mind he's trying to send a message to the player that he's been following his academics and don't think he can fool around on him or something like that. And for a coach to come out and admit it while he's still doing it, because I think some of these recruits may get a hold of this book and say, oh, I got this Schembechler guy figured out, you know, I don't have to worry about him.
Bo, the book and the man, obviously captured Albom's imagination, and it seemingly paints a picture that goes beyond football. It's a story for everyone, and for some, it even can restore your faith in the system.
It restored my faith that there are some people in sports who still can be big and successful and play by the rules, too. I wasn't sure, Jim, before I got on this, if there was anybody left in sports who still followed the rules when you really got to know them. You know, I mean, they can fake it, but when you're really getting close, you find out maybe they're cheating like everybody else. And he doesn't. And I think it's going to be sad when he finally gets out of football because I think we're going to lose something special.
So Bo Schembechler, the man and now the book, is on the New York Times bestseller list. You know, you're going to be tough to live with.
Well, Mitch did a great job in there. He's a feisty little devil.
He is, isn't he?
Oh, you got to watch this guy, but he can write. He's really a good writer.
And you enjoyed doing the book, and the other thing is it's all an act?
No, it's not all an act, Jim.
Okay.
You played for me, didn't you?
That's right, and you said
when I kicked you in the rear end that time, that wasn't an act.
But you said in the book, and I take offense to this, that I was the worst tackle in the history of intercollegiate football.
Did I say that in the book?
Yes, you did.
See, that Mitch put some things in there that I didn't say.
You are a beauty. Anyway, if you're interested in the book, believe me, it is a beautiful book, and it's well written, and it's well worth reading. It's available at all bookstores. Also coming up this weekend, homecoming at the University of Michigan. And if you're interested in a great homecoming event in Ann Arbor at the Track and Tennis Building, be sure and show up for the Go Blue Brunch. It starts at 9 a.m. Saturday, October 28, 1989, in Ann Arbor at the Track and Tennis Building. For information, call 764-0384 for tickets. President Duderstadt will be there along with Bob Foreman, the alumni director, and great band director William E. Ravelli, and the band will entertain. And it's a great homecoming event for everybody interested in that homecoming game. And speaking about homecoming, the biggest thing about that weekend are the Hoosiers of Indiana. We'll be back with their scouting report when Michigan Replay continues.
This sixth edition of Indiana football under head coach Bill Mowry has a great many unfamiliar faces to the rest of the league since 24 seniors, including 15 starters, graduated last spring. But despite the losses, Mowry still has his two best offensive players back for their final season to lead IU. First and foremost is consensus All-American running back and Heisman Trophy candidate Anthony Thompson. Thompson leads the country in rushing and scoring and is third in all-purpose yards. Last week, he became the Big Ten's all-time scoring leader, surpassing Ohio State's Pete Johnson. Quarterback Dave Snell is back for his final campaign, and the veteran signal caller has already moved into second place in the IU record book for passing yards and total offense. Snell's receivers are young but talented, with sophomore Eddie Thomas and freshman Scott McGowan both making an impact. The defense's lone returning starter is defensive back Mike Dumas, who was a solid shot at all Big Ten honors. The junior from Alto, Michigan, is a hitter with quickness, attested by his 5 blocked punts over the past 2 years. Sophomore linebacker Mark Hagan has returned after sitting out a year with back problems and has quickly emerged as a leader and the leading tackler. Despite the youth of this team, Bill Mallory refuses to classify this as a rebuilding year. This is Don Fisher with the IU Radio Network reporting for Michigan Replay.
Michigan versus Indiana for homecoming. It's always a big game because Coach Bo Schembechler and Bill Mallory at Indiana are pals, and you always like to play tough against your good friends. And Bill Mallory knows a friend of yours.
Well, he's a friend, but he's also built a great program at Indiana. He has the greatest back in the country right now, and a veteran quarterback who's very, very talented.
The one thing you've often said about teams that you worry about more is defense. Now, his defense is a little green, a little young yet, but their offense kind of makes up for that with Thompson, who can keep Indiana in a game all by himself.
He can do that. And the thing that we have to do is to deny the rush. Now, no matter what happens, we've got to do a job containing this running back. We've been successful in doing it in the past, but I'm not so sure that we can shut him down like we did in the past. He's a great, great back.
What about their defense? When you're playing a young defense like Indiana has, is there any way you attack them differently than you would, say, a veteran club?
Well, not really. I think they're a very solidly coached defensive team. I don't think they're a gimmick defensive team. And I really have not had an opportunity to see much of the personnel they have in there now because they're all relatively new from last year. So this is going to be very interesting.
And it's a challenge, too, because it's coming off 2 emotional games, Michigan State, Iowa, back-to-back. You finally return home. You can't afford a letdown. These guys can get you.
Indiana, along with Michigan State, Illinois, Iowa, Indiana, Ohio State, can beat you any Saturday in the year.
So make sure and be with us next week. Who knows? We may have one of those weekends. You'll see it all here, right on Michigan Replay next week.